Okay, today we're going to play with some Photoshop actions I downloaded from a company called Graphic River. And there's some really cool things in here. You have to pay attention to exactly what is the instructions are, because if you don't capitalize the B in brush, or you do capitalize the B in brush on one of the layers, it can cause your thing to not perform. So make sure you follow the directions. Okay, so having said that, on the side hard drive, which is a little yellowish orange icon on your desktop, if you double click on that, there should be a folder somewhere in there called Graphic River Actions. Now I suggest that you use, if you put the icon format, they're all stacked on top of each other like this. So I use the column view. If you click on the column view, then what you'll see is all the actions. Now, there's all kinds of actions here. I think I bought 23, but in some of the 23, there's more than one. So like in Fire Effects bundle, there's 4. In Photoshop 50 actions, there's 50 actions. So there's a little more than 23. I'm not exactly sure exactly how many, but anyway, you can look there. And if you click on each one of these, there'll be ATN stands for the action, and you have to be careful also what version we have. We have CC 2015, not CS4, CS5, or CS6. It's CC 2015. So if you're clicking down through here, make sure you choose the one for the edition of Photoshop that we have. So I'm going to pull this out a little bit. So we don't have, for instance, CC 2017. We have CC 2015. So as I go down through these, I'm looking at each one of these, and I'm going to start and use one called Thunderstorm. Okay, now, if it has more than one icon in here or program, this one says Thunderstorm Brushes ABR. That stands for Adobe Brushes. Thunderstorm Taurus ATN stands for the action. So if you come across these, you'll have to double click on each one of those to load those into Photoshop down here. So let's go ahead and start with this. So I'm going to double click on Thunderstorm Brushes ABR, and then I'm going to double click on Thunderstorm Taurus ATN. So now what I've done is I've loaded those two actions and brushes into Photoshop. Then I'm going to click on the PDF, and sometimes it's a doc. And the easiest way to read this is don't double click on it. Simply click on it and then hit the space bar, and it'll bring up so you can read about it. So it's telling you to load the Thunderstorm action, which is what we just did. Load the Thunderstorm brush, which is what we just did. And then you're going to open an image file and drop your image into a new document and flatten the image. So I'm going to go into here, into Photoshop, and I'm going to open a new image. And so I've got this image of some soccer players out here. So I'm going to drag this into Photoshop and open there. Now what it says is to go to Layer and the Flatten Image. Well, I don't have to because it's already flattened, but if the flattened image shows up here, make sure you flatten it. I can make that show up by just double clicking this here, and now I'm going to go to Layer and I'm going to go flatten the image. So I've got my image flattened. Now I'm going to go back to my instructions. So it says the image layer should be locked background, right here, background, and it's locked. The recommended should be sizes around 3,000 pixels in height. So I'm going to click on this and go to Image and Image Size. And my pixels are 3,456, so I'm going to go 3,000 in height. Oops, almost forgot the extra. So now there's my image. Okay. So now I'm going to go back and read. It says create a new layer and name it brush. In this empty layer, use a white brush to paint the areas you want to have your effects generated on. Use a soft round brush, zero hardness, or experiment with a hard brush for precise edges. Okay, so notice it says brush here. The brush is capitalized. Sometimes the brush is not capitalized. It does make a difference when you're doing this. Okay, and this talks about customizing the result. We'll come back to that later. So I'm going to close this. Now I'm ready to work on my project. So the instruction said, go layer, new layer, and name it brush with a capital B in this case, B-R-U-S-H. And then I say OK. Now I'm going to get my brush tool, and it said to brush it with a white brush. So I'm going to go down here and load black and white brushes, switch these so that the white brush is showing. And then I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to zoom in on the area I want to brush here. So I'm going to brush the Cedar Woolley soccer player. And just a second. So I'm going to get my brush and I'm going to make the brush just a little bit bigger so that I can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to go here and make my brush a little bigger. And oh, I know what's wrong. I got to get a brush. So I've got to get a brush here, and now it's a little too big. And they said hardness 0, but I'll leave it at 0 then. So now what I'm doing is I'm brushing the area that I want to affect. So I'm going to basically brush over the top of the entire soccer player here. And I think I'll keep the ball in the action there too. And I want to completely cover my soccer player. And I even want her arm coming down like this, so we can go like that. And oops, better get her hair here too. Okay, so I've pretty much got my soccer player covered here. And now I'm going to run my action. So I go up to Window and I go to Actions. And then I'm going to find the action called Thunderstorm, or there's Thunderstorm. See, I've already loaded some of these others. So I click on Thunderstorm, and then I highlight Thunderstorm, and then down at the bottom, I hit the play action. So now what it's doing is it's going to go play that action. So I'll just wait while it does that. And as you can see, it's creating some things here. And there's my action. Now, if I didn't like that, like I don't like how much dark it is down here, there might be, I could go back and redo that and so on. But if I'm happy with what I got, then I'll go to File, and I'll go to Save. I always save a PSD, so I'll call this Thunderstorm. And save the PSD, and I'll save this on the desktop for right now. But then if I like what I'm doing and I want to upload this to my Flickr account, then I'm going to go File, Save As, and oh, I see it's saving, so I'll have to wait a few seconds before I can do that. Then I go File, Save As, and now I'm going to save it as a JPEG. So I'm going to go Photoshop there, JPEG, and call this Thunderstorm JPEG and save that also to my desktop. And make sure this is all the way up. And now there's my action. Now if I want to try a new action, I'm going to go File. Oops, I have to go back and open my PSD. So, okay, so that's how you do an action. And I'm going to go ahead and close this one. And I'm going to open the same picture again. And this time I'll run a different action. So let's close Thunderstorm here. And let's go to my side hard drive. And I go Graphic River Actions. And I'm trying to find something I haven't done yet. Let's see. Let's try Blizzard. So again, I don't want CC 2017 because that's not the version I have. So I'm going to double click on Blizzard here. And notice it loads Blizzard. And then I'm going to go back to my side hard drive and make sure I load Blizzard brushes. And I do that. And now my brushes are loaded. And then I'm ready to do the same thing. So I'm going to go back here and see what it says in the instructions. So here's the README text. I hit the space bar. Okay, it says Open Actions panel. Use File menu and open to load the action, and we did that by double-clicking on it. Load the brush to the package. We also did that by double-clicking on it. Then I'm going to open my picture. It says 2500 is optimal, so I'm going to go in here and I'm going to go to Image and Image Size, and I'm going to change the biggest number to 2500, so 2500, and that just means it's optimal. That'll be the best way to do it. We go to View and Fit on Screen, and then I go back to my instructions, and it says create an empty layer, name it Brush. Notice this time brush is in all lowercase, and then paint over your object on the brush layer. So again, I'm going to go here, I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to call it Brush, this time all lowercase. Say OK. I have to go get my brush tool again, and this time I've got to load a brush, and this time I'm going to make this a little smaller, and same thing, I'm going to paint my soccer player white. This time I'm using a hard brush, and I'm using a little bit bigger brush size, although I'm going to make it a little smaller when I go down to the bottom portions of their leg so it doesn't go off my character. So now I'll make my brush just a little smaller. And I'm going to paint down through here, get her shoe. And the hair. And the arm. And then the other leg and the ball. Okay, now I've got my stuff already. I go to Window, I go to Actions. This time I'm looking for Blizzard, so there's Blizzard. I open that, click on Make Blizzard, and then I hit the Run key again, and it starts running. And we'll just wait for it to do its work. And there it is. So this is the idea that it's in a blizzard, and that's my action. So again, I'm going to go File, Save first, and save it as a PSD. So I'll call this Blizzard. I'll save it to my desktop. And then after that's done, I'll go File, oops, still loading. Let me wait a few more seconds. And now go File, Save As, and change this to JPEG. And I save the JPEG. Again, making sure that my file size is maximum, or my image options are maximum, and say OK. And there's how to do 2 of the actions we have there. That's it for now.